there. You also see people standing about not sure who they are. We don't know if they're workers, if they're a part of the investigative team. We just don't know at this point. But again, you heard the mayor. He says
Good
he will do
morning,
whatever he
good
can
afternoon,
to make sure something like this
good
does not
evening,
happen again here in.
wherever you may be. Today, I'm going live there. I could not go live, and I wanted to bring a breaking story to my audience. There's been another mass shooting event in San Jose at the VTA light rail facility. And my understanding is there are a large number of not only injured, but a large number of people that have been fatally killed. So I'm going to let you all hear this right now because we're taking this information in together. This
Self-inflicted, but
happened
we're
about
waiting to
6:30 from
confirm
my
that with
understanding
the
this
lead
morning.
investigators here, and multiple casualties and multiple victims in this. A very tragic day.
Justin, in situations like this, we often hear from officials. They often talk about how it pains their heart, that the thoughts and prayers are with the families. We've heard that many times. But in this case, you can tell it really hurts them, with Glenn Hendricks, especially part of the board of directors, the chairman of the board of directors for the VTA, getting choked up throughout most of his statement.
I was just going to mention that, yeah, he seemed to be very emotional. He did get kind of choked up and kind of, his words begin to get slow. It appears that he was getting very emotional. I mean, he works for these people. We're told that some of these victims are indeed VTA workers. So imagine, he probably worked with them maybe on a daily basis. So he may know some of these individuals. So very tough for him to even deal with. But on top of that, stand in front of the camera and even tell us about this tragic situation.
And just give us the scope out there, Justin, just about that investigation going on.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tanya Rivero. Thank you so much for joining us. We are following developing news out of San Jose, where a mass shooting at a rail yard has left several people dead. Investigators say this is still an active scene, but here's what we know so far. The shooting happened around 6:30 a.m. this morning Pacific time at a Santa Clara Valley Transportation Authority light rail yard. Officials say several people were killed and several others were hurt. Investigators say the exact number of victims is unknown at this time, but they did say they are Transportation Authority employees. They also said the gunman is dead, but did not specify his cause of death. Joining us now is Len Ramirez, who is a reporter with our CBSN Bay Area Stream team. Hi, Len. So what is the latest, and can you give us an idea of the scale of what's happening there?
Well, Tanya, as more time goes on, the sense is, from covering this area for so many years, is that there is a real horrific scene just across the street at the VTA light rail yard here in San Jose. We're talking about multiple victims. At this point, they are not saying how many victims. They're saying multiple injuries. We don't know how many people were injured. We do know that since this is part of the county government center, there are police departments one block that way. The sheriff's department is virtually next door to the VTA light rail yard. So as soon as this call came in, units were on the scene immediately. And from what we gathered at a news conference just now, there was some rescue going on. This happened in the yard portion of this facility. There are offices, there's a maintenance hangar, if you will, and then there are offices. This happened outdoors, and apparently some of the arriving deputies and police department officials were able to extract some of the victims who were shot during this what sounds like now a massacre. We're not hearing exactly how many people may have died, but from the grim look on the faces of the San Jose mayor, Sam Liccardo, as well as the heads of VTA and sheriff's officials, this is going to be a very difficult scene for them to sift through, and a very difficult emotional situation for the Santa Clara County family, especially VTA. We understand now that the VTA light rail throughout Santa Clara County has been suspended. They're establishing bus bridges to continue to get people around here, but this is a very tragic day for San Jose.
Absolutely. And Lynn, obviously, we do not know the number of victims yet, and there's a lot that still needs to be learned about what happened and who was killed and who was hurt. But are you hearing any additional updates at all about the victims that you can share with us?
Well, the initial report came out. I don't want to give out the number that we initially heard, but that number has gone up by a couple of victims. So the more the time passes, we're finding out that this was a multiple victim event. The shooter committed suicide, according to my sources. I asked if there was a gun battle between the arriving officers and the shooter. I got a no comment on that. So we don't know if this shooter came in and took his victims, then took his own life, and then the law enforcement officers arrived, or if they arrived during this and somehow engaged him. That's one of the things we're going to be trying to find out. We also don't know what type of weapon was used. That question has been asked but not answered at this point from the official sources.
Now, we know that the gunman is dead, according to officials. Do we know anything more about him? Did he appear to know his suspects? On the surface of it, does this appear to be in any way a workplace-related shooting?
Tanya, very good question. It's one that we don't have the answer to. Oftentimes, just from what has happened in the past in America, we know that these types of situations can happen at a workplace. We don't know the relationship between the shooter and the victims. That is one of the questions that we're going to hope to have answered here in the next few minutes. But just a very tragic situation for the families of the victims who may not know the status of their loved ones. A family reunification center has been set up just across the street from where I'm standing right now at the County Government Center, 70 West Heading in San Jose, and family members can come here and be told official information instead of relying on sporadic reports that we're getting, every hour or so. They'll get the official information.
And our hearts go out to each and every one of them. Len Ramirez, thank you so much. We're going to take you back now to CBSN Bay Area live coverage. Let's listen in.
Maybe at that point we can get more information and start to piece this thing together.
And obviously information gets released very slowly in situations like this, especially when you're talking about multiple victims, because they have to notify next of kin to prepare them for whatever details may be getting out in the media. So of course we'll just wait to hear, possibly at 10:30. So we have about 20 minutes until our next update. But again, we're taking a look from Chopper 5 overhead this facility. And in the next hour or two, or in the last hour or two, we've seen a lot of investigators either on the roof or in that yard and on the tracks. All right, Justin is talking to San Jose Mayor Sam Liccardo now.
Yeah, he just got here. We're getting ready to talk to him here in a second. First of all, Mayor, talk to us. You seem to be very connected to this. We're talking families impacted by this, their loved ones gone. You got a little emotional up there. You're connected to this city, but you said you're going to do whatever you can to make sure that this doesn't happen again. Talk to us about that plan.
Well, I live only a few blocks from here, and I know we had neighbors who were terrified. Obviously, I serve on the VTA board, and every week I'm engaging with the employees, many of whom lost good friends and loved ones through all this. This is a horrific moment, certainly for everybody in the VTA family and for our city. I'm happy to talk about the specific proposals and policies that we've been working on for the last year and a half. I think the appropriate time for that is after we've had a chance to actually understand the situation, to allow families to mourn, for all of us to mourn together. But I can assure you within the next 48 to 72 hours, I'll be talking more specifically about all that. But this is... I received a phone call from the Vice President, from Secretary Buttigieg and others expressing their heartfelt condolences. That the nation is mourning for those we have lost today. And we're going to do everything we can to support their families, support their loved ones. and then we'll focus on doing everything possible to avoid this from ever happening again.
What are investigators telling you, Mayor, as it relates to this investigation? What have they shared with you?
There is an ongoing effort to first ascertain the extent of the casualties. At this point, we know that several people have died. We know that others are being treated. I know that one of the victims died on the way to the hospital. And so obviously this is a very uncertain situation in this crisis. And so they're doing the best they can. I know doctors are working very hard to save lives. And I know, fortunately, the sheriff's office did everything they possibly could to secure the scene immediately to ensure there wouldn't be any more loss of life. All the questions about motive and so forth are issues that investigators are getting to the bottom of as they're talking to employees now at the facility. And obviously, we're doing everything we can through the VTA and the county to provide grief counselors here at the Reunification Center. There are 4 counselors there now. We encourage families to go to 70 West Heading where they can get more information about their loved ones.
And Mayor, you said earlier that you serve on the VTA board as well. So maybe that you have you met some of the workers at VTA? I mean, this is going to tug at their heartstrings. I mean, these are people that they work with, and you possibly work with them as well, right?
Yes, I know workers who were there at the scene. I have not, because everyone is obviously in the middle of this crisis, and investigators are obviously talking to those workers now. I don't want to disrupt the important work they have to do. But there is severe trauma felt by so many in this organization. I know it's going to be nearly impossible for an awful lot of members of our VTA family to go back to work at that site. We're going to have a lot of work to do to help people get through this horrible trauma and to help them heal. And that's the work for us for considerable time.
Talk to the city. These individuals, they're watching this on the news. They're seeing this tragedy unfold. Talk to your city, and how do you provide comfort for them right now?
This is a moment for us to mourn, and we are, as our heart is just so pained for the families, for the loved ones, those we've lost. It's a time for us to come together and support one another, and we're going to do that. This is a community that pulls together like no other in tough times. We saw it through the pandemic. We saw it after the flood. We've seen it after so many tragedies where see thousands of volunteers coming out, people who care passionately about supporting their community. I'm confident that we're going to support these families and the loved ones of those we've lost, and we're going to resolve to do everything we can to stop this tragedy from happening again.
Mayor, is there anything else that I didn't ask you that you want to talk about as it relates to this tragedy?
Thank you. No, we'll have more information in the hours ahead.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you. Again, that was the mayor. He just wrapped up an interview with us first right here on KPIX at 5. So very emotional. He said today is the time to mourn. That's really what he wants his city to know and do today. Right now, just try to take it in. It's very tough. It's very hard for a lot of us, but he wants the city to mourn. He does expect to release more information in the next couple of days as it relates to how he plans to move forward to make sure something like this does not happen again. But again, today, he says it's the day to mourn.
And also to give those families and that work family the chance to process this and to also mourn as well and to try to find some kind of peace after all of this that happened today.
Yeah, and it's interesting because we don't know the number, and it doesn't really matter the number. One death is enough. Yeah. It was too much. But this is a mass casualty situation, and Sam Liccardo, basically alluding to that and saying that there are many victims in this, many victims being treated, many victims dead. He did also talk about somebody who had died. We talked about earlier that 2 victims were taken to Valley Medical Center. One did die, was pronounced dead on arrival. And we do know that one victim who was taken earlier is in critical condition right now.
So that's the latest, but we don't know the total number of people injured in the shooting or the total number of people who were killed in this tragedy. Either still waiting for that information from public information officers.
Yeah, we don't know. But from everything that we've heard, not only from the chairman of the board of directors, Glenn Hendricks, from Mayor Sam Liccardo just now, and also the very little information coming out of Santa Clara County Sheriffs, this is a mass casualty situation. This is a very tragic situation.
Yeah.
We are going to go to an earlier news conference so you can hear what they had to say.
My name is Glenn Hendricks. I'm the chairperson of the VTA Board of Directors, GLENNHENDRICKS. So a horrible tragedy has happened today. And our thoughts and love goes out to the VTA family, the organization, and what they've had to go through. I could not be more proud of the VTA organization. As I drove here, I saw VTA buses out on the road. As I said, this is just a horrible tragedy that has occurred. One piece of information, the event did happen on the VTA light rail yard, but it did not happen in the operations control center. It did happen on the yard. I want to go ahead and let people know that as of noon today, VTA light rail service will be suspended, and additional bus bridges will be put in place so that we continue to provide service to our county residents. And I also just want to remind people that the Reunification Center is here at 70 West heading for where people can get together and get information about their loved ones. Thank you very much.
Can you describe the facility a little?
Your employees. I'm sorry for the loss. What kind of security is on the premise on the daily?
I'll let someone handle that question later.
What do you want to say to the families of your workers?
That we're so sorry this event happened. We are there for you. VTA is in the process of getting grief counselors in place to help them. As I said, VTA is a family. People in the organization know everyone. This is a terrible tragedy, and we will do everything we can to help people get through this.
The shooter, do you know how?
I have no information about the investigation or what happened.
What about the facility? Can you just kind of describe the facility? How many employees regularly were there? That sort of thing. Like, what could be expected at 6:30 happening there?
I don't have number of people that are normally there, but it's early in the morning when light rail service is starting. This is a maintenance yard where we do maintenance on the vehicles, and also it's where the vehicles are dispatched.
All right, again, you've been listening to the very latest on the situation we've been following all morning long in San Jose, a mass shooting event that went on at the VTA rail yard that is on West Younger Avenue. The shots ringing out just after 6:30 a.m. and there have been several people that have been killed, several people injured. We're hearing most of them, if not all of them, are VTA employees.
We're told that as far as the confirmation of those killed and injured, one person was dead on arrival and one is in critical condition, but those are the only confirmation. And we're also getting reports from reporters on the scene, including Len Ramirez, that the shooter has died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. But all of this unfolding at 6:30 this morning. It's still very much an active crime scene. In fact, the VTA is saying that it will shut down all the light rail service at noon today. They had been trying to keep up operations because of the morning commute and doing the best they can, but they realize that has to come to a stop.
And you're taking a live look right now above the scene. This is from Chopper 5. You can see several law enforcement agencies still there, as they will be throughout the rest of the day and likely for the next several days for this investigation, because there are a lot of questions right now about exactly what led up to this. And again, how many victims we even have at this point. Families don't know if their loved one, a VTA employee, may have been affected by that.
Here's the number to call there on your screen for family and friends. Please, family and friends only can call this number, 408-299-2311, 408-299-2311. 11. And there is a reunification center right now in effect. This is at 70 West Heading Street. That is nearby. That is where, if you know anybody who may have been involved in this, that is where you go to hopefully find your loved one at this point. Again, so many questions about who exactly was involved, but this was a storage and maintenance facility for the VTA light rail vehicles. So they were stored there. The ones that were used this morning, they were already out on the line. So this, again, was storing some of the older ones, some of those that were still being serviced at this point. And we're hearing there may have been a meeting going on, and potentially that is where the shots rang out this morning, but no clue as to the motive. And again, all we know about the shooter in this case is that it was a man, and that man is dead at this point. And we should mention that when they do shut down the light rail service at noon, there will be bus shuttles that will be put in place for riders. And we're also being told that employees at the VTA are getting counseling. We can go to Gianfranco. I think she has a traffic update for us, because certainly things being impacted.
All right. Well, there
definitely there are still road closures still in effect in and around that area. So just to keep that in mind, if you are.
All right. While they're doing their traffic update or whatnot, I just want to thank each of you for coming, to the stream. Obviously breaking news where there has been this mass shooting event in San Jose, California. I do not know, none of us know how many victims there are, but just the way that they're talking, it seems like the victims there's a lot. It seems like there is a lot of people that have been killed and injured in this mass shooting event. Now, I want to show you some additional video. Since they're doing their traffic thing, I want to show you some additional video. We love to come to Twitter. We're sleuthing a little bit here. Check out the police presence at the suspect's home. So they know who the suspect is. Apparently, he must live somewhere on Angmar Court in San Jose. This is the street of, now the hashtag they're using for this is /VTA shooter. So, I know it's horrible, but that is the hashtag that you can use to kind of continue to get, information, right? Because we do use hashtags to do that. But you can see here that the police presence is massive. Cars coming in and out are having to check with police before even coming out of these streets to move around. Basically, roads are blocked off, and so let's start from the beginning here. There we go. I just wanted to fix my audio because it just sounds so much better on the mic. Hello to everybody in the chat. I'm sorry I didn't even get a chance to really acknowledge you guys each one by one. VTA, what does VTA stand for? Michael Phillips asked that question. I'm not sure, but we can surely look that up. I think that's just because it's the name of the. Hold on, y'all.
Okay, sorry about that. Don't you hate those dealer service calls? It's just so ridiculous. But give me just a second here. Give me just a second, guys. All right. So yeah, they know who it is, and it makes me kind of wonder, like, is it a former employee or whatnot? But I'm not going to give all my secrets away on how I do my lives and things like that. But let's take a look at some of the media that's coming out in regards to this. There was several people that were making statements. Like, it was just, they were coming out making statements so fast, that I couldn't even really come in and start talking when this started. But this one, let's just take a
Myself,
listen.
my name is Deputy Russell Davis, Russell, last name Davis, Davis. I am the Public Information Officer for the Santa Clara County Sheriff's Office. Good morning, everyone. About 6:34 a.m. this morning, Santa Clara County Communications Center received multiple 911 calls, a shots fired call, multiple shots fired calls in the area of 101 West Younger Avenue in the city of San Jose. This building is a VTA control center, a Valley Transportation Authority control center, and is a hub that stores multiple VTA trains and maintenance yard as well. Multiple deputies, including surrounding law enforcement agencies, arrived to the scene for an active shooter investigation. The information I can tell you right now is very preliminary. I can confirm with you right now that we do have multiple victims and we have multiple casualties at this point. I can't confirm the exact number of injuries and fatalities, but I will tell you that there are multiple injuries and multiple fatalities in this case. This still is an ongoing investigation. We do have multiple agencies here helping us out with law enforcement side, as well as with the county fire side, city fire department, and multiple agencies. I will tell you about the suspect right now. The suspect is confirmed deceased. I will not go into details as what the cause of death is at this point, but the suspect is deceased at this point, so the public safety is safe at this point. This is still an ongoing investigation, like I was saying earlier. We will have another press briefing in probably about 1 hour, and I'll be able to give you an update from there.
The victims tied to VTA, are they employees or families of employees?
The victim, with the victim as right now, there are VTA employees that are victims. In regards with the suspect, I don't have that information at this time.
What were they doing at this property? Were they having a meeting?
So I don't know at this point as what transpired with this incident, but it's still ongoing. So probably give me about a couple hours and then we can give you an update from there if we have that information.
Indoors or outdoors, the shootings?
I don't know if this was indoors and or outdoors at this point.
You know what kind of gun? Was it a semi-automatic?
I don't know. I do not have the information on that point.
Can you tell us, were there at least 5 fatalities?
So there's a lot of speculation on injuries and whatnot, fatalities. I don't have a number for you. Give me about an hour and I'll give you an update with that from there. Everything is still preliminary, just occurred. We have investigators on the scene trying to figure out exactly what happened. So right now we're trying to set up a reunification, get victims out to where they need to go and get medical treatment at this point. That's the most important thing right now.
Where are the victims going?
Get information.
1 second, one at a time, please. I don't know what kind of weapon at this time.
Where can family members get information about their loved ones?
Good question. Family information. Right now, we are staging our reunification area at our Sheriff's Office headquarters, which is next door, which is at 55 West Younger Avenue in San Jose. If anyone has any type of information regarding this incident, please give us a call. It can be anonymous in that case, or just hard information as the case, but we can get as much information we can get in regards to what transpired in this case that will help us out as well. But we do have investigators on scene gathering as much information as we can.
And this is your normal, right? This is your normal press conference. It was the first one, of course. And that's really all you're going to get from him anyway. You know what I mean? So
office when they were
let's just take a look at
they may
this.
update us again in about an hour. Any update on if they're going to give an update maybe within the next hour, 20 minutes or so?
Well, they told us to expect an update around 9:30, but I have not seen them out here. I don't see them here at this point. So they are probably getting briefed before they give us any more information. But the investigator that's giving that information is coming from the Sheriff's Department. We know that the Santa Clara County Sheriff's Department is the agency that provides security for VTA. So sometimes you'll see those sheriff's transit officers in cars patrolling some of the stops and whatnot. So that's why they're leading the investigation, although it is here in the city of San Jose. Everybody's here. It's all right here. This is the heart of Santa Clara County operations. As we mentioned, there were probably a lot of people who.
I'm sorry about that, guys. Sorry. I accidentally clicked the link itself. Sorry about that. As y'all can see, I be getting messages and notifications, and it's so one second. Oh, look, there's my my stream on Periscope. I just wanted to see, what kind of other, videos that I might be able to find here. Hold on, what is this? Okay, so there's just people that are just outside, just.
We do have multiple victims and we have multiple casualties at this point. I can't confirm the exact number of injuries and fatalities, but I will tell you that there are multiple injuries and multiple fatalities in this case. This still is an ongoing investigation. We do have multiple agencies here helping us out with law enforcement side, as well as with the county fire side, city fire department, and multiple agencies. I can confirm with you right now that we do have multiple victims and we have multiple casualties at this point. I can't confirm the exact number of injuries and fatalities, but I will tell you that there are multiple injuries and multiple fatalities in this case. This still is an ongoing investigation. We do have multiple agencies here helping us out with law enforcement side, as well as with the county fire side, city fire department, and multiple agencies. I can confirm with you right now that we do have multiple victims and we have multiple casualties at this point. I can't confirm the exact number of injuries and fatalities, but I will tell you that there are multiple injuries and multiple fatalities in this case. This still is an ongoing investigation. We do have multiple agencies here helping.
Oh, wow.
Following breaking news that they will be watching closely here in the nation's capital, that is the West Coast, San Jose, California. Once again, authorities responding to an active shooter situation. It is not the first time that has happened already in this week, which is only 3 days young. It is not the last time, most authorities will tell you. Washington continues to be deadlocked on the issue of what to do about the crisis. Republicans argue there are already enough laws on the books to deal with what is going on, but just this week, Texas passing legislation that would indicate that there is no need for a background check or anything else with regards to carrying a gun. As of 7 o'clock this morning on the West Coast, it was still an active shooter scene. Police are asking the public there to avoid the area. Once again, Washington, another active shooting investigation now underway, this one on the West Coast.
All right, guys. Let's see if we can find any sort of an update here in our Facebook feeds. Give me just a sec here. I don't know if maybe I told you guys this yesterday. I enacted a feature on StreamYard where when you're sharing a screen, and if your camera's off, let's see here. Yeah. So if your camera's actually turned off, it will not show. It won't show you on the side. It's a very cool feature because that means that if people's, now of course you need to put an overlay up still, but this is really helpful for those that you trust, that you talk to. If they have their avatars off, then essentially you can hide the audio avatar. So I just thought that was a really nice feature, especially for me because I don't go on camera too much anymore these days. So sorry about that, guys. It looks like something really crazy happened, but I'm hearing that 7 have been confirmed dead so far. So let me just share this out to you guys here. Okay, yes, that one. Right now, this is just a helicopter overhead of the scene of where this event happened. And, you know, if you use um, the rail line in San Jose, this is in Santa Clara County, it has been suspended for the rest of the day today. Now, they're saying that there are transit employees that are among the multiple injuries and fatalities. I'm starting to see reports that there are 7 people that have been confirmed dead. You should be able to hear me. Can you hear me, Natalie? Because right now this is just a helicopter view, so they're not actually talking. Hey there, MTGV. Yes, it is a male that is deceased, who they actually know who he is. They actually know who this person is. Let me just make sure that we've got sound here, because Natalie's saying she can't hear. So let me make sure here that you guys can hear me okay. Just bear with me a second. Okay, here we go. Hello, hello. Yeah, there is something wrong. Nope, nope. Audio's good. Audio's good. Okay. All right. Okay, so let me give me just a sec here. I want to see if there's anyone like actually discussing this. I mean, I know everybody's live right now, right? but that is Fox 2, but all they're showing is helicopter footage right now. Let me see. Can I filter this out for just like lives? Yeah, there we go. Just want to see lives. Okay, here we go. All right.
Killer shooting that because the shooter worked there, co-workers knew him.
He would have either had to work there, have a key card, or have some sort of help to actually get in there and to start firing. We know that this is a light trail organization, the VTA, the Valley Transportation Authority, and
there's
they were
your
in
answer.
there very early this morning because their trains start running
The one who had the answer question on why what the V stands for.
Filled with people at all sorts of hours, and so it made them a target whenever this gunman was able to get into their facility. And again, they were actually going to celebrate today, increasing the capacity of the number of people on their trains coming here on the back end of the pandemic with so many Californians getting vaccinated. This was supposed to be a day of positivity for the VTA, and obviously we've seen how it's gone tragically wrong. Diane.
Yeah, it sure has. They are now mourning the loss of their employees, who we know are among at least some of the victims in this case. The VTA also tweeted out just a little while ago that we will be shutting down light rail service starting at noon today until further notice. We will have bus bridges in place to provide limited service while we work through this. The light rail yard remains an active investigation seen limiting our ability to provide service. So, Will, while we heard earlier that this would not affect the commute, it sounds like that's no longer the case.
That's right. This is going to be a massive crime scene. Pierre touched on this. They're going to go through looking for ballistics. They're going to go inch by inch throughout this facility, looking for weapons, shell casings, everything that they can to help them build a case and figure out exactly what played out here. For law enforcement, that is top priority compared to continuing to allow these trains to run. That can take anywhere from hours to days. I've been on mass shootings where they've shut down massive facilities for days because they have to continue their investigations. So those trains may be down for quite some time.
All right, and let's check in with our affiliate KGO there in San Francisco, listening to their coverage. They've been covering the story in depth. Let's listen.
That the shooting took place 11 miles from that home, about 15 minutes driving, she said. And so that has not yet been confirmed, but we know that that is likely something that investigators are working to piece together, Reggie.
And early on, we were seeing reports. I mean, you and I were seeing them. We weren't reporting them on television of a fire in the area. And that may have had to divert some resources while firefighters then minutes later had to go respond to the shooting call. And never did I imagine that those two things were linked. I just assumed, house fires happen all the time. It just so happened that these two incidents occurred almost simultaneously. Then to hear that they're connected is really something on a whole other level, that this all seems, I mean, I don't know for sure, but it all seems very planned. And it, if a suspect in fact did set fire to his own home and then drive not far away to his workplace and start a mass shooting, that all really leads to a very premeditated sort of scenario.
And I think that's probably why we heard Mayor Sam Liccardo, when he was talking with Amy just a little while ago, talking about how investigators really have to be so careful, and the concern that, there could potentially be booby traps or explosives in the building. They're thinking about all of those things. And when you put that into perspective, thinking about, a possible tie to this fire, that element of premeditation, it's clear to see why they are taking this abundance of caution to protect themselves and to protect the community, Reggie.
Right. And the other thing I was just thinking about, again, just looking more closely at what the mayor said a few minutes ago, he told us, it looks like we're going to start another news conference here. So
My name is Deputy Russell Davis, Russell, last name Davis, Davis, a public information officer for the Santa Clara County Sheriff's Office. Before we start, I want to put out my condolences to all the victims and family members that were involved in this tragedy today. This morning at 6:34 in the morning, Santa Clara County Communications Center received multiple 911 calls regarding a shots fired call located at the area of 101 West Younger Avenue in the city of San Jose. This building is a Valley Transportation Authority, VTA, transit building, and houses a VTA control center at that building. The information that we have so far is we do have multiple victims, and we have multiple victims ranging from fatalities and multiple major injuries at this point. We do have a suspect that is pronounced deceased at this point. I won't go into information about identity information. That will be released by the Santa Clara County Coroner's Office at this point. This is still an active and ongoing investigation. The Sheriff's Office activated our Santa Clara County active shooter protocol, where we activated multiple law enforcement agencies and fire department agencies in the surrounding county to assist with this incident. This is still a fluid and ongoing incident, and we're trying to figure out everything, what transpired and what exactly happened to this point. But again, this is still ongoing, and we're still trying to gather the information of what exactly happened at this point. Right now, with numbers, I can confirm with you at this point that there are 8 victims that are pronounced deceased at this point, and there's 1 suspect that's pronounced deceased. This is still ongoing, like I said. The numbers can change, okay? So this is still a fluid and active ongoing investigation. We have all the resources out here from city, county, and federal agencies out here, including the FBI and the DA and Homeland Security out here to assist with this investigation. So again, we have a lot of resources out here. Ourselves, we're trying to figure out what exactly happened, what's going on. We received information that there are explosive devices that are located inside the building. That being said, we activated our bomb squad, which is currently out on scene and trying to determine, pretty much we're trying to clear out every room and every crevice of that building to ensure that the public safety is rest assured if we open up that building later on in the near future. So that being said, getting the information out to all of you, it's going to be a little bit fluid and dynamic. It's going to take some time for us just to go in there and render the area safe so we can have investigators go in on scene to determine, collect evidence, and then gather all the information that we can at this point. We do have a reunification center located next to me. It's going to be over at 70 West Heading, over in the city of San Jose. It's going to be over at the Isaac Newton Auditorium. If you have any family member that you're trying to reach out or gather any type of information, we ask you to call our Santa Clara County Communications line, which is 408-299-2311. Again, 408-299-2311. This is still active, ongoing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to route this over to our Sheriff Lori Smith, who will speak very briefly on this incident, and then we're going to move on to the next person from there.
Sergeant, about the 8, does that include the gunman or not?
I'm sorry, say that again.
8 people, does that include the gunman?
So the 8 victims is 8 victims, including, and there's a 1 suspect as well, so that's 9 altogether.
There's 9.
So there's 9. 8 victims, there's 8 casualties from victims, and then 1 suspect casualty at this point as well.
What is the building that they're explosive in?
Is there a second scene?
So the building that they're at is 101 West Younger Avenue, is a Valley Transportation Authority hub center. It's a control center, and that's where they're at this point.
Fire. There's a fire. There's a fire scene.
The fire, we're still ongoing, and we're trying to figure out exactly, if there's connection or any information at that point. So we're still trying to gather that information.
There was ammunition found inside this.
At a meeting?
I don't know. I'm trying to get that information at this point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to route this over to Sheriff Lori Smith. She's going to speak very briefly. Okay.
First of all, this is an active investigation, and there are many, many components that we're continuing to discover. We mentioned the Victim Unification Center. It's in the building right next to you. Please, please have respect for the victims' families right now. There's still a lot to be done. We appreciate San Jose PD was with us immediately going into the building, and our teams showed exemplary behavior. What they're trained to do while the shots are still being fired, our teams with San Jose PD are entering the building while shots are still going off. We attempted rescues, and it's uncertain where that is right now. We don't want to take a lot of questions. We'll give you all the information that we can give you as it comes known, but we really don't want to speculate right now. So we appreciate your coverage of this, and my heart goes out to the family and to the victims. I'm just so sorry. It's a tragic situation, and we have some very brave officers and deputies. Thank you.
Sheriff, if there are explosive devices in that building, is there concern for the public at large?
No, it's pretty remote. We have the area cordoned off. Our law enforcement is there, and we know which building.
How many explosive devices do you think there may be?
Right now, we're not certain. We're still searching, and again, there's a lot of other components to this.
You found at least one, which leads you to believe there are more.
Yeah.
So we have explosive devices information that is on the building. So we're going to use all the necessary resources to ensure. The biggest thing is we want to ensure public safety. So that's our number one priority right now. So right now we're trying to render everything safe if there are any type of suspicious devices, and then we'll go along with our investigation right there.
And our bomb dogs alerted on it, and we're able to locate. So, but again, we're giving all the information we can right now, and we will continue to provide updates as it goes along. So thank you for your patience, and we'll get to you as soon as we have information.
Can you tell us anything about the fire at the house?
I think that San Jose PD is working on that, and we'll see if we can get San Jose to make some comments on that.
Do we know how the shooter was stopped?
I'm not sure of that information right now, and that's information we're not releasing at this point.
Do you tell me how the shooter was stopped? Did he take his own life, or did one of your deputies?
It's undetermined at this point.
Did the shooter get inside?
Again, I don't want to take any more questions. I have one real quick one from here.
So really quick, I will confirm you that it is a VTA employee. The suspect is a VTA employee. That's all the information I give you. It's still developing. We're still trying to ongoing the investigation. We're trying to figure out what happened.
So that explains how he was able to get in, because he was already an employee.
Potentially in that case. And also to confirm with you, it is a light rail yard that's for this VTA building as well. And in regards with the bomb information, the suspicious devices, we're using all the resources that we can, from using our robots, x-ray devices and whatnot. And with conjunction with federal agencies, we have resources out there to figure out what's going on.
How many are hospitalized?
The device?
We don't have, I don't know. We're still, again, this is all preliminary. We're trying to get that information. So next I'm going to introduce you to Glenn Hendricks. He is the Valley Transportation Authority president for the board.
Hello. As we've all seen, there's a horrible event that has happened, a terrible tragedy, significant loss of life, which is just horrible for our VTA family. Our thoughts and love goes out to the VTA family, to the employees who were at the yard, and everyone else who is a VTA employee and their family members. I do have a number to give out. This is for VTA employee and family members only. 408-321-7550. Again, this is for VTA employees and VTA family members to be able to call 408-321-7550. I just want to say how proud I am of our VTA family, the stress that they're going through, the friends and family that they know. This has just been a terrible event for them. I also want to say that our light rail service will be stopping at noon today. We'll be putting in place a bus bridge to continue to provide service to our county residents. As has been mentioned, the reunification center is inside. I've been in there talking with different employees. It's just very difficult for everyone to be able to try and wrap their heads around and understand what has happened. And I just want to say again, I'm so sorry for what's occurred, but I'm very proud of our VTA employees. Thank you.
How many of your employees are hospitalized?
I don't have any of that information right now.
Can you say how long the suspect has been working with VTA?
I don't have any of that information right now.
What was there an event of any kind going on? A gathering?
A meeting?
So next we're going to introduce President Mike Wasserman. He's for the County Board of Supervisors.
Thank you all for being here. I'm here on behalf of the Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors. Along with me is Supervisor Cindy Chavez. I'm just so in shock that something like this happened in Santa Clara County. And my heart and prayers go out to all the family and friends of the 8 members, 8 VTA employees that passed away this morning. I've ordered the flags to be lowered to half-mast in order to honor the people that have passed today. And I hope each and every person that is listening to this broadcast includes these 8 people in their prayers tonight. Thank you very much, Supervisor Chavez.
So first, I wanted to say my heart is just really broken for these families, and I just want to remind everybody that these folks were heroes during COVID-19. The buses never stopped running. VTA didn't stop running. They just kept at work, and now we're really calling on them to be heroes a second time to survive such a terrible, terrible tragedy. At the county, we are providing counseling services for all of them through our Behavioral Health Services Department. In addition to that, the District Attorney's Victim Witness folks are helping support the families through this tragic time and the individuals who were part of the, really of the chaos and who witnessed this horrific crime. I wanted to say a very special thank you to San Jose PD and really our Sheriff's Department for being on site right away and supporting the members of our VTA family. I just also want to acknowledge that the union leadership, ATU, IFBTE, and SEIU, who are here supporting their members, and we've received national requests and offers for help and support at this time. Thank you.
So I know I mentioned earlier that we have federal agencies assisting with this investigation. The Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, is out here. I'm going to introduce a special agent in charge, Craig Fair, from the San Francisco office of the FBI.
Thank you. My name is Craig Fair. I'm the special agent in charge of the San Francisco division of the FBI. I'd like to first off offer my condolences to the families, the victims, VTA family, and the city of San Jose in the wake of this very tragic event. The FBI's role in this investigation is to provide assistance to the Santa Clara Sheriff's Office, to provide evidence response resources. It is a fairly sizable crime scene and is going to take a while to process. So I would ask everybody's patience while we do that. We are also providing victim services, which will also assist with not just the families, but also the reunification process going forward. We will remain here as long as we can provide assistance and as it is needed. I would also like to commend the first responders and the officers who played a key role early in this in responding to victims that were located inside the crime scene. Thank you.
Can you spell your name for us?
Craig Fair, C-R-A-I-G, F-A-I-R.
Next, I'm going to have Raul Perales, as a San Jose City Council member, is going to speak.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. This is just extremely tragic. Hearing about this in the morning at 7 a.m., waking up.
We've been listening there
it's
to the
devastating.
Santa Clara County Sheriff's Department giving an update on a shooting at a transportation facility in San Jose, California. The Sheriff's Department now says 8 people have died from that shooting. They say they have multiple injuries as well. And in addition to those 8 victims, the shooter is also dead. They would not say if the shooter died from a self-inflicted wound of some kind or if he was killed by law enforcement. But they do now say the suspect is a VTA employee. So it looks like these victims were known to the suspect and the suspect known to the victims. Of course, investigators are still trying to piece together exactly what happened here. And they are doing so slowly, in part because we just learned from the Santa Clara County Sheriff's Department that there are reports of explosives in that VTA building as well. So the bomb squad is now going through and clearing room by room, looking for any possible explosives, not only so investigators can maintain their own safety, but also to ensure there are no explosives in the building for when they do eventually open it back up again to the employees who are going to return there for work. They're also still gathering information on a fire that happened at the same time as this shooting was going on. They're looking into whether or not those two events were connected as well. But at this time, the police are not elaborating on what they have found on that front. And I want to go to Congressman Ro Khanna, a Democrat there from California, representing that area of San Jose. Congressman, first of all, thanks for being here. This has to be heart-wrenching for you to watch. How do you feel right now hearing about what happened there and seeing how law enforcement is handling this?
It's just sickening, heartbreaking. There's a sense of outrage, a sense of loss for our community. I mean, to have 8 victims, families' lives destroyed, there's just a lot of hurt. Obviously, I'm deeply grateful to the law enforcement for how they've responded, to the first responders, for the doctors and nurses, for Glenn Hendricks and Mayor Liccardo. Glenn, who's the head of the VTA, and I've reached out to them. But there's an enormous amount of hurt right now in our community.
And Congressman, we heard also from the mayor of San Jose calling this a dark moment and talking about how this, despite the fact that in this case, the shooter is dead and no longer poses a threat to the community, he says this in general is not an isolated incident.
Well, it isn't. I mean, here you have a case of VTA employees who are public servants. They go to work to help the public transport run in Silicon Valley. We're all dependent on them. They don't make a lot of money. They show up, and no one would think that just going to work, their lives would be at risk. And our community will never be the same. Those families are never going to get their loved ones back. And what is outrageous is you have these incidents happening every day in this country where you have mass shootings, you have people going in with guns who shouldn't be having these weapons. And in a few seconds, they're ruining families' lives, they're ruining communities. And at some point, we have to ask, when are we going to deal with this? I mean, it's happening today to my community. It could happen tomorrow to any other community. And I've said, I've been in Congress for 5 years. We have not, in my 5 years in Congress, had a single bill that the president has signed on gun violence. That, to me, and it should be a shame, source of shame to everyone who serves in the Congress, that we have not been able to deliver for the American public.
So, Congressman, what are some specific measures that you think could be put in place to prevent shootings like this from happening again?
The very common sense measure is a universal background check. There is no reason someone like this suspect should have had a gun that could fire in the way it did and takes in seconds many lives. And we have passed in the House a universal background check. It should pass the Senate. It has over 80% support. It does nothing to go after people who are law-abiding gun holders. But what it says is if you have something which is a criminal background, or if you are going to be likely to commit a mass crime, you shouldn't have a weapon like this. And I really think that has to be the first step.
And we're reading the tweet. We have the tweet up on screen now that you sent out earlier today saying, "My heart is with everyone at the VTA and the families of the victims of this horrific tragedy. I'm currently working with the San Jose Police Department and Mayor's office to get the facts, and we'll share more soon." And Congressman, I heard you talking about.
Well, guys, there's going to be a lot of discussion on this topic as, time continues on today. This is a really heartbreaking event. 9 have been confirmed dead, including the suspect who, hold that thought, guys, hold that thought. Sorry about that. Okay, so like I was saying, 9 have been confirmed dead, including the suspect, who apparently was an employee of this transit center known as VTA. He apparently set his home on fire and then drove to the railroad to the rail yard and proceeded to shoot and kill 8 people. We don't know what type of weapon We don't, I'm hearing that he committed suicide and killed himself, but I've also heard that it was like a suicide by cop. But I'm just, more details will obviously come out later today as this investigation continues. I don't know if there's going to be victims in the home that was burned. Why set your home on fire? We've seen in a lot of cases in mass shootings where people, they start by killing their family members. And then, we see this in several cases, right? And we don't know what the issue is as of right now, but we did see the video of police have his complete area blocked off as far as where his home was, completely blocked off. Police are checking to make sure you actually belong there. And so that's my understanding on what's going on around his home. I'm going to go ahead and end this live for right now, but I will be back later. We will further discuss this incident, and thank you to each and every one of you who joined the live. Definitely subscribe to my channel, Crimes and Investigations, as well as my leaku.com and my backup leaky channels. So I will see you guys next time. And I'm hoping and praying that all of you have a good day. And please keep your thoughts and prayers on the victims. Hold on. Before we do this, hold on. I think the White House is speaking.
As we all know, we will continue to stay in close contact with them and offer any assistance as needed. We still don't know all of the details, but what's clear, as the president has said, is that we are suffering from an epidemic of gun violence in this country, both in mass shootings and in the lives that are being taken in daily gun violence that doesn't make national headlines. That's why he has already taken an initial set of actions on gun violence that will save lives. And that's why he's calling on Congress to take action, including calling on the Senate to pass the 3 bills to strengthen background checks that have already cleared the House with bipartisan support and which have the overwhelming backing of the American people.
So, Congressman, again, that was the first statement from the White House that we've heard in relation to this shooting. What is it like to be in a position of leadership when this happens in your community?
Well, first of all, I appreciate the president's statement, and I think he has the empathy and the experience and the ability to connect with the broad.
One thing that I want to say, I just wanted to, let you guys hear the statement that was coming out of the White House. But I just have to say, Karine Jean-Pierre, the woman that you've seen speaking, who stands behind that pulpit, and not pulpit, but behind that White House, whatever, I guess you could call it a pulpit, but and gives, takes reporters' questions, and it's just really awesome to see a Black woman in the Biden administration that is, performing the capacity of that job. It's really nice. It's nice. It's refreshing, and she's really good at it as well. So anyway, guys, I will be thinking of each of you. And again, please keep your thoughts and prayers for those that have been killed today in this mass event and their families. I will see you guys next time.